Going to get worse with AI. I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
Let's talk about how journalists might be replaced by AI.
They're vacuuming up our content. They're using it to replace us. I talk to journalists all the time.
Recently, there was a Zoom call of journalists put on by Richard Prince. He does these regularly, but this last one was on surviving the collapse of traditional business models in journalism. And there is a business model collapse in journalism, no doubt about that.
The entire journalism industry is basically in a free fall. Today, the Los Angeles Times laid off 115 employees. They wiped out their entire DC bureau.
Because those who control the distribution of our content and funnel us to our readers who we want to have a relationship with, they keep all the money.
That was Daniel Coffey, the president and CEO of the News Media Alliance, spelling out the situation in journalism right now.
They're afraid about losing their jobs because this technology will replace them because it's regurgitating what they're writing.
Because it needs a lot of data to give you any answer. So these AI engineers downloaded the whole English internet. Every text, every image,
They're currently vacuuming up our content, and it's going to get worse with AI. I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
It also means that whatever has been written that's been out there, and of course gets vacuumed up and put into an article by some sort of AI robot, that will be what is considered the truth and the facts moving forward. But those facts and that truth has to be out there for it to be included, for it to get vacuumed by AI robot.
And it needs to be fought in the courts, whoever you work for.
Let's talk about AI and whether it's going to take your job. Throughout history, tech revolutions have transformed societies, often for the better.
And often for the worse in terms of people keeping their jobs and having money come in. And then there's our government. Are they going to do anything about it? Let's look at the federal level. Section 230, by the way, shields media platforms like Twitter or X and Facebook from defamation suits by shielding them in a way that does not make them liable for the content that is put on their platforms.
Well, Mr. Altman, on the podcast earlier this year, you agreed with host Kara Swisher that Section 230 doesn't apply to generative AI, and that developers like OpenAI should not be entitled to full immunity for harms caused by their products. So what have we learned from 230 that applies to your situation with AI?
I don't know yet exactly what the right answer here is.
Okay, you hear this answer all the time at these hearings. Ooh, we just don't know what to do. Please, Congress, help us. Please, Congress, help. We're so confused. Let's join together and help each other figure out what we're going to do with AI and everything else. To me, this is all nonsense. The tech people want to do what they want to do. They're not going to let the government control anything. They always want to show up like doe-eyed babes in the woods at the hearings, but then their lobbyists fight against any change that anybody comes up with. So to me, this is all acting.
I'd love to collaborate with you to figure it out. I do think for a very new technology, we need a new framework. Certainly companies like ours bear a lot of responsibility for the tools that we put out in the world, but tool users do as well. And how we want, and also people that will build on top of it between them and the end consumer.
Yeah, the end consumer, meaning the users. Now, has anybody noticed that there's absolutely no regulation on anything when it comes to social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, anything, nothing. I mean, Twitter, nothing. I mean, no one is regulating anything. So why would anybody think that there would be any sort of regulation now on the end user or anybody else? I mean, it is comical to watch these guys show up on Capitol Hill and give this little speech. They give it the same way. It's just different people. Ooh, please help us figure this all out. And this is all so confusing. And in the end, nothing happens and things just go on as they are. And if you notice, there was a hearing that happened not too long ago with Mark Zuckerberg, and there was thankfully a bunch of parents there whose kids had been impacted by his platforms, in some cases had committed suicide, and no one does anything about it. There was a Facebook whistleblower that showed up. Nothing changes. It's just the same thing over and over again.
And how we want to come up with a liability framework there is a super important question, and we'd love to work together.
We're already seeing the deep fakes and the fake voices and all sorts of things that are artificial intelligence is basically faking and putting people out of jobs, and you don't see the government really taking any actions as these jobs are getting lost. I cannot imagine that that's going to change. Certainly for journalism and communications, there are some huge changes in the offing, because when you have machines writing things, whether they're writing scripts, whether they're writing news stories, and taking the place of human beings, that is going to mean a huge change in the industry. And of course, it's already meant a bunch of job loss. Of course, what this is about is who can attract attention to their content and make money with it. And of course, so many of these platforms have found a way to do it with free content, either from users who voluntarily give up their content for free, driving money to the ads of a lot of these platforms that are making money off of free content. Or in the case of journalism, of course, once again, what it is content that has to be paid for by somebody else through somebody else's work that is then put on a platform like Facebook or X, and then they're using that content to make money and pay absolutely nobody. Like Danielle Coffey said,
those who control the distribution of our content and funnel us to our readers who we want to have a relationship with, they keep all the money.
Right. They keep all the money. And that's what this is about, keeping the money, using people's content to keep the money. That's the entire business model of Facebook. They're using other people's content to drive ad traffic. And then they use the content, people click the ads, and they're not creating any of the content. And they're not liable for any of the content on the site. It's the perfect environment. You make money off of other people's work. A lot of that is journalistic, and that is the reason why journalists and the business model of journalism is suffering right now. Next video will be much more positive, I promise. Next video on AI-related topics. We'll deal with the folks that are winning against AI, deal with the people who, no matter what anyone says, there's always the winners against any force that happens, whether it's artificial intelligence or anything else. And there are media platforms out there that are doing very well despite AI, and that is because they have business models that work, that are typically based on subscription. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's good content, great news judgment, and just winning strategy. So I hate to be doom and gloom in this video, but that is the current state of play right now in journalism. It cannot be ignored, and it is not going away. So until next time, good luck.